This week in IT, Microsoft is going places with a new app that it promises will help solve work challenges for hybrid teams. The app lets you redefine boundaries and improve workspace experiences with intelligent technology, creating a work environment that's responsive, cheaper to manage, and gets results for your team. So stay tuned to find out more. Welcome to This Week in IT, the podcast where I talk about everything connected to Azure, Microsoft 365 and Windows. This episode is sponsored by Simperis. But before I get started, I've got a quick favour to ask you. About 56% of the people who watched last week's video weren't subscribed to the channel. Now, as we go live today, we're on about 6,040 subscribers, and I'd really love it if we could push that up to 6,100. So if you'd like to help us meet our goal, then please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell notification to make sure that you don't miss out on the latest uploads. Now, of course, since the start of the COVID pandemic, most of us have been used to the idea of flexible working. Some of us working remotely, some of us in the office, but that has brought its own set of unique challenges. According to research by Microsoft, about 43% of employees feel disconnected from their company. Now, when you do actually have to go into the office, nobody wants to be greeted by a completely empty space where there's no other people, because of course that defeats the point. And if you do manage to arrange something where you can meet your co-workers, you need to make sure that you've got the right equipment so that you can connect to those that are working remotely, and to make sure you've got a space where you can actually get work done. Scheduling has always been a challenge, but now it's even harder with hybrid teams, getting everybody together, maybe people working remotely, sometimes of course even in different time zones. It can be a real challenge. But Microsoft has a new app that it promises is going to help improve the situation. But before I tell you about that, here's a quick message from our sponsor. Did you know that Active Directory is exploited in 9 out of 10 cyber attacks? Once cyber criminals control your Active Directory, it's game over. With access to AD, attackers can gain control of your entire network. And if AD goes down, business comes to a halt. And it's not just on-premises Active Directory that's under attack. Cyber criminals are targeting Azure Active Directory too. Attackers can gain entry in the cloud and move to on-premises identity systems or vice versa. To keep threat actors out, you need to find and fix Active Directory security gaps. Meet Purple Knight, your ally in defending against adversaries trying to breach your hybrid Active Directory environment. Purple Knight is a free Active Directory security assessment tool built by Simperis identity experts. With Purple Knight, you can spot Active Directory vulnerabilities before attackers do. Purple Knight scans your hybrid environment for hundreds of indicators of exposure or compromise in both on-premises Active Directory and Azure AD. Purple Knight gives you an overall security score and prioritized remediation guidance for fixing AD security vulnerabilities. So Microsoft has come up with a new app called Microsoft Places, and it was first announced back in October 2022 at its Ignite conference. It went into private preview, and this week Microsoft has announced that finally it's now available in public preview for everybody to try. So the app is designed to help hybrid teams improve coordination and productivity. Now, in the words of Microsoft, they're saying that it's designed to redefine the boundaries between remote and in-office tasks, and that the app is a testament to Microsoft's commitment to pioneering a dynamic and adaptable work environment. Now, in the press release, Jared Spataro, who's corporate vice president for AI at work at Microsoft, said that AI innovation is already improving how you work, and that improving where you work is the next big opportunity. And that's where the Microsoft Places app fits into the landscape. So not only are we getting this new app called Places, but all of these features and functionalities are going to be surfaced through the Microsoft 365 app ecosystem, of course, including Outlook and Teams. So let's just run through some of the new features that are coming along with Places. So first of all, we have location plans, and this is going to allow employees to share their proposed plans of where they're meeting and what they're going to do, but of course the key is where here. And you'll be able to see who else will be attending the meeting in person. Now that ties in with a new hybrid RSVP functionality. When you RSVP to a meeting, you'll actually be able to specify now whether you're going to attend that meeting in person or remotely. Peak cards are coming to the Outlook calendar, so you'll be able to see who is going to be attending a meeting in the office, and you'll get notifications to book space on office days. The presence signal is also going to be expanded across the Microsoft 365 app ecosystem to show whether you're in an office and which office that you're actually located in. And you'll be able to send out specific in-person meeting invites, so you can actually signal your intention to get people together physically and to have a meeting. Now, while all of that may seem relatively basic and just minor upgrades to the Microsoft 365 apps, there's actually a lot of really cool stuff going on behind the scenes with this application and these changes that I think are really going to make this a great change. Now, one of the things that managers are going to be able to do is specify specific days where they want their team to be physically located together, or as many of them as possible located together in an office, and you'll be able to then see that on your calendar and arrange the necessary spaces to make sure that happens effectively. Now, Microsoft says that managers will be able to say what the priorities for those meetings should be, and that in itself will help to try and bring people together if they can see what the purpose of coming to the office actually is. Now, we talked a little bit about the spaces in which these meetings happen, and the Places Finder in Outlook will actually show a layout image of the room and all the equipment available there, so you can actually make sure the space that you're planning to book has the facilities that you need, and that you'll be able to connect to the people that aren't able to attend physically. Now, while it's not enabled at the moment, later in the year Microsoft is going to be integrating Copilot with the Places functionality, and Copilot will actually be able to go out and find a space for you that it believes is suitable for a particular meeting. So just taking out a lot of that manual grunt work. But one of the great things that the IT team is going to be able to provide people who are organizing these spaces and the equipment in them, because of the better integrated check-in functionality and desk pools, it's going to be able to provide information about how the resources are actually used in practice, and be able to provide that information so that they can make sure that you have the right spaces available with the right equipment. And IT will be able to set policies that automatically releases rooms that have been booked but where nobody has turned up for some reason, so of course releasing those resources for other people to use. Now, at the moment, in order to enable this feature, you're going to need to do that using PowerShell 7 and the Places module, so you'll need to do that with your IT department, get them to enable it. There are some features that are only available at the moment if you opt into them. So as far as I can work out, Places is available in public preview for everybody, but there are some specific features that you will need to opt into if you want to have access to them right at this moment in time. And it's those features that Microsoft is saying, well, if you do opt in to enable them, they're recommending that you only do it at this stage in a test tenant. You can also control access to these Places features by security group. So if you, for instance, only want to allow testing with a certain group of people at the moment, the IT department can define those people. So this is still kind of in its infancy despite all of the testing that's gone on. Microsoft is saying that later in the year there are going to be features like bookable desks, and that the Copilot integration is coming in the second half of 2024. But from what I can see from both an IT perspective, from an end user perspective, and from the point of view from the people who have to organize and manage these spaces, there are lots of features here that are really going to put AI to work in terms of managing as Microsoft has said, where you work and not just how you work. Copilot will be able to give you information like, well, it can tell you which days of the week are best for you to come into the office based on various things like whether your manager is going to be in, the quantity of people from your team that are planning to attend, those kind of things. It can provide you with those recommendations. And of course, you'll be able to ask Copilot to just adjust your schedule based on criteria that you lay out for it. And all of this is going to be available across the software and hardware that you use. So as I said earlier, it's going to be integrated across the Microsoft 365 app ecosystem, not just in the Places app, but also Outlook and Teams, and of course, all the hardware surfaces that you might use with Microsoft Teams Rooms. And the idea here is to provide an end-to-end booking system that improves productivity across the board. I think what I'm most interested in is really from the IT perspective, how this is going to provide a clearer picture of what's actually needed for people to have effective meetings. Of course, it's going to be really useful for employees as well to help them with the scheduling problem. I can't wait to have Copilot just automatically schedule meetings for me without all the constant backwards and forwards in trying to find a time and a place for those things to happen. But of course, this is all in public preview at the moment. It's not generally available, so how it's actually going to work in practice, I'm really keen to see. It should be more widely available in the second half of 2024, and considering the amount of time that Microsoft has been working on this, I hope the results are going to be pretty good. Let me know in the comments what you think about Microsoft Places. Is it something that your team is likely to find useful, or your IT department could really use to help improve productivity and reduce costs? If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate if you gave it a like, because it helps us to get the video seen by more people on YouTube. I'd like to thank again our sponsor for today's episode, Semperis. I'm going to leave you with another video on the screen now about changes to Exchange server licensing coming up in the next version, 2025. So do check that out. Some interesting stuff happening there. But that's it from me this week, and I'll see you next time.